That's why I would say time and time again that unless we take this threat as a challenge and do something, I won't say something, the entire whole host of things that are really that are required to make us part or help us participate in global trade more efficiently and effectively. Yeah, there is no go. So we are going to keep facing this kind of a problem, going from one, one problem, one frying pan to the next, and ultimately fall into the fire.
Hello and welcome to Strat News Global. You are watching The Gist and this is Nayanima Basu. We have with us today a very special guest. He's an international trade policy expert. He's taught trade in the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and he has also been part of the thick of things called the World Trade Organization, which many of you might not be aware in today's world. But what we are going to discuss today is the recent trade tensions between India and the United States. Where is it that the talks are stuck, and why is it that India and US may not be able to do a bilateral trade agreement? Thank you, sir. And this is Professor Biswajit Dhar. And thank you for talking to us, sir. And I know it's a very busy time for you. Everybody wants to, have a discussion with you. But if I can start by asking a very simple question. Do you really think that the talks between India and the United States on bilateral trade agreement is kind of impossible right now, given the situation that we are in?
Yeah, I think we've reached a, stage of impasse, and I don't see how this impasse can really be broken, and because both sides have extremely strong entrenched positions, and they're not willing to move an inch. So I don't think the trade negotiations can go any further, despite the fact that we are hearing that on the 25th there is a US team which is going to be visiting here, and of course the deadline, the additional 25% tariffs deadline which President Trump has imposed on us, that expires on 28th. So in any case, there is no time left between 25th and 28th to really do something, even with that 25% additional. So I think we are now in a long haul, looking at this kind of a very tense relations between the two countries.
Right. So let me first ask, and I'll come to the fact that how trade deals are ideally negotiated. Now, everybody today is talking about market access, but there's very limited knowledge about, I think at least in today's India, what you actually mean by market access. But if I can take you a little bit, what had happened with India before. We've had very tough and complex trade negotiations, free trade agreements with South Korea, with Japan. How do you think we could do that, and what is it that is stopping us now?
Now, one of the major sectors which got left out on those negotiations was agriculture. Now, India has never put agriculture and dairy, these two sectors, on the negotiating table in any of the agreements that we have negotiated so far. And of course, the reasons are pretty obvious, because Indian agriculture has a very large number of small farmers, small and marginal farmers, and in the WTO parlance we call them low income and resource poor farmers. Right. Now, according to the government of India, in the submissions in the WTO, about 99.4% of India's farmers are low income resource poor farmers. That means they're very poor farmers. Now, the apprehension here is that if the market is opened up to foreign competition, and you have agribusiness in most of the major countries, at least in US and EU, then the small farmers will be unable to compete with them, and two things will happen. One is, of course, loss of livelihoods, and India's food security. India has been maintaining its this policy of self-sufficiency in food grains, right, since the mid-60s, and we don't want to move away from that position. So for the government of India, putting agriculture on the negotiating table implies that there's going to be political and economic instability. Yeah, and with the recent history of farmers on the warpath, the government was extremely cautious in not doing this with the US. So they, under no circumstances, they would have agreed to put agriculture on the negotiating table.
Right, but sir, if I can ask you, and if I can become, the devil's advocate here, what we get to hear from the other side is the fact that for how long will you give agriculture as an excuse of not doing a free trade agreement, right? And as you said, this was also kind of a big sticking point even in the other previous trade agreements. But there will come a time when ultimately we have to open it up, or maybe we won't. I mean, can you, in today's world, can you live without doing a trade agreement? Because if you see, not just Trump, everybody is doing a deal within themselves. We are not even part of the RCEP, right? The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So does that mean when it comes to agriculture, it is completely no? Where are the sectors that we can still open up?
No, I think with the United Kingdom, we did open up a few sectors.
Right.
And again, like for instance, automobile was one sector which was a no-go for us. We have agreed to open up our automobile market. But you're absolutely correct that you cannot negotiate a trade agreement without not having the competitiveness at home. And you cannot have a trade agreement, can't do trade deals with different constituencies right across. It would also include services sectors in here, saying that we will not be able to compete with the global behemoths.
Right.
Yeah? Now, so for me, I think this current impasse, the kind of a logjam that we are now facing, is really a defining moment for the government. It really should shake us up into thinking what needs to be done at home in order that we can overcome the vulnerabilities. That's really something. And at each point we have asked this question, that even with in case of Japan, Korea, even ASEAN FTAs, the big problem was, and that's the reason government has always wanted to review all these agreements, was that we haven't been able to export. Now,
yes. And that's why they say those FTAs are a failed initiative.
Exactly,
so to say,
exactly. Now, my view is that there's nothing inherently wrong with these FTAs. Yeah, the partners have given us a market access, like we have given them market access.
Right.
But the difference is that while they have been able to fully utilize the market access we have given, we haven't been able to do that. And so that is a reflection on our inability to capture markets,
Right.
or take the offerings that are there, that are being made. So I think this, as I said, that this should be taken as a defining moment for us. That if we want to be a part of the global community, we want to be part of the global value chains, we want to keep engaged with the global economy, then we need to do a lot at home to get our industry up and moving so that they can compete with the world's best. Yeah, and that's how we can be a fair player in the global economy.
Now, sir, coming to the the elephant in the room, this thing about tariffs, 10%, 25%, and the additional 25%, and I think there are sectoral specific tariffs also. We have again taken US to the WTO. Whereas, under Biden administration, we saw all WTO cases sort of, getting resolved. And I mean, there was an understanding. So then there is also parallelly, and I'm asking this question with this because tomorrow, for all you know, US and China can do a free trade agreement. And their negotiations are going on in full swing. Where does it leave us? And also, I'm sure people are not aware that if these tariffs, once they become effective, that can really weigh down on our domestic economic growth.
No, absolutely. I think, like I said, that our inability to really participate in these trade agreements is creating a whole host of problems for us. Like for instance, again, I'll also give the example of RCEP. Yeah, we were not able to join RCEP because our domestic players were worried about competition from China.
From China,
Yeah,
yes.
and then of course the government decided that we need to do something about our manufacturing sector, and we started the production linked incentive scheme. Now, unfortunately, we are putting in place a lot of these programs or a lot of these schemes, but we are not ensuring that they deliver quick results. So it's been almost 4 years, well, 4 years almost to the date that the PLI has been put in place,
Yes.
but we haven't seen any movement towards, our manufacturing sector gaining competitiveness. Of course, they would actually become up and running after, it should have taken a few more years. But even that movement towards making it more competitive, that we can't, that we are not able to see. So I think these in the absence of the WTO and WTO revival looks pretty bleak. I don't think the WTO can come back in the same way it was there earlier.
Yeah, I mean, the United States doesn't believe
Doesn't
in
believe in
multilateralism at
so
all.
yeah, so now this is the age of bilateral deals. Yeah, and it's entirely possible, like you said, China and US doing the deal. In our own neighborhood we have RCEP, and within and also individual Southeast Asian countries have done deals with Trump.
Sorry to intervene, but when you said that this might impact, but do you really think that with this tariff, and if they get implemented, like people are saying, oh, it's a matter of 3.5 years, Trump will go away and everything will be all right. Do you think that will be the case, or there will be more job losses and economic downturn in India?
No, see, if you look at just the numbers, then I must say that the Trump tariffs at this point may not affect India as much as we think. Yeah, the reason being that there are certain exceptions that have been given. There are certain exemptions rather, and so energy, mobile phones, pharmaceuticals, these are sectors which are not covered under these 25 plus 50% tariffs. Now, if you look at India's exports, then these products, and then of course a major item is gems and jewelry.
Right.
And gems and jewelry
textiles, all the labor-oriented sectors.
Yeah, no, gems. No, but the reason I'm putting this here is that the demand. This is gems and jewelry has inelastic demand, which means that prices can keep going up,
right,
but people will keep buying, jewelry. And especially in US, with the diaspora, they will keep, and they don't have an alternative, they'll come to India and buy jewelry. So I'm also leaving that sector, this particular sector out. So if you add up these four sectors, gems and jewelry, mobile phones, pharma, and energy, it's almost 50% of India's exports to the US.
right.
Yeah. So there can be an element of complacency that is not going to hurt, and this is what I've also been saying, that but as I said, that we need to take this moment as a defining moment in our process of integration. Yeah.
But that we've been saying for years, no sir, we don't do those kind of reforms, and then we saw during the agricultural reforms, that PM says he wanted to bring in, we saw what happened with protests and all. So where do you think the solution lies? And also, there used to be a time when we would have a 5-yearly foreign trade policy. Now we are back to that situation where exporters are again asking for duty drawbacks and other such fiscal packages. So this cycle just goes on.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, see, if we remain in this situation where we are muddling through, then our problems are never going to get addressed. Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing that I've been alluding to, that we have a good policy. Yeah, okay, I won't say good, but it's a policy to revive our manufacturing, which is badly required. But then we don't implement it in the way that we need it. Yeah. So that and that's why I would say time and time again that unless we take this threat as a challenge and do something, I won't say something, the entire whole host of things that are really that are required to make us part or help us participate in global trade more efficiently and effectively. Yeah, there is no go. So we are going to keep facing this kind of a problem, going from one, one problem, one frying pan to the next, and ultimately fall into the fire. There will be no, escape from that. Now, look, I think with other countries, with the trade agreements with the other countries, this was I would say that this was a different kettle of fish altogether, because they were actually India had not too much of market access in those countries, so we didn't have too much of stakes on those countries. Of course, the deal was to increase India's presence in those countries, but we're only looking at the future. In case of US, this is our largest market.
Right.
This is almost a fifth of our total trade. Fifth our total trade. Yeah. And yeah, I would emphasize on the market, because look, with the global economy in a tailspin, and we know that global economy is not going to recover very soon, and with the Trump's policies is going to become even more uncertain. These assured markets will become losing assured markets will become extremely costly.
And this can impact our services professionals also, right? I mean, we're also seeing what's happening with H-1B visas, but do you think it will stop there? Because that has been our main ask, from every trade agreement.
No, we know that President Trump has said he's not going to be encouraging Indian workers to work there the way they are doing now.
Right.
Yeah. So there is already a statement saying that that the golden age of Indian professionals just flying off to the US and then making hay, that may have come to an end. Yeah, he's stopping student visas. Yeah, so the whole lot of churn is already taking place on the services side. And if the goods side really gets into a problem and has got into a problem, then I think we need to look at ourselves very seriously. And as I said, that this is a defining moment for us to consider where we want to go.
But so what we hear from Commerce Ministry is that our exports are increasing. They're at an all-time high.
Well, the thing is that we still have a share in total trade or total exports, which is about 2% and thereabouts. Yeah, and I think a country like India must have much more ambitions. And if you remember, when you were covering Commerce Ministry earlier, every other year the Commerce Ministry used to say, in 3 years we're going to be doubling exports. Yeah. Now those ambitions are now gone. Yeah. Now we are saying that okay, we grew at sort of 5%, we're going at 6%, and that's good for us.
So now let me ask you my final set of questions. I know you have to go. Ultimately, now whatever is happening with the US, maybe the deal, it seems, you never know, but maybe the deal will not be signed, at least in this year. But we also have another trade deal staring at us, which is with the European Union. That deadline is also December 2025. Do you think this will be the impact of what is happening between India and US BTA talks will be reflected in those talks as well? I mean, nobody really knows what's going on with EU as well.
No, I hope it doesn't, because
they are also upset with India taking Russian oil.
That is right. But see but here I find there is a bit of an issue with the European Union as well, because when we started importing Russian oil, we were actually exporting a lot of the products to Europe. So when the pipelines from Russia dried up for Europe, we were supplying to Europe the oil that they required. Yeah, right. I think so. So there is an issue which we need to talk to the European Union, because they are very worried about the sanctions, and the non-implementation of the Russian sanctions by India. They're really worried about it. But I think we also need to argue with them that, look, there is an issue, and I think we should try and see how this trade deal can be done, can be got over as soon as possible. We were hoping that once the India UK deal has been done, we thought that this would be the template which will be moved forward in the European Union, and then the deal will be done. And I hope this happens, that we don't get stuck with the Russian oil issue, because I think the Russian engagement with Russia is becoming more complicated. US is also importing from Russia. It was pointed out to President Trump the other
And they
day.
always knew that we are buying Russian oil when
Exactly.
they started the negotiation.
Exactly,
It was
exactly.
not unknown to anyone.
Absolutely.
For that matter.
And in fact, we got a nod from even President Biden, because at that point, if India hadn't bought Russian oil, the global oil market would have gone into a tailspin. The prices would have just gone through the roof. So in a way, the Americans were also quite happy that we buying the Russian oil would keep the market at least the markets more calm. They would have got. So I think there is need to activate the diplomatic back channels.
Right.
Is very important at this point. And India and US have a number of forums, bilateral forums, through which they have been constantly engaging on really ticklish issues for the past several years, actually. And
We've done the nuclear deal.
Exactly. So I was going back to that. So from the nuclear deal, from at least almost 2 decades, we have had these bilateral consultations, and we have solved these issues. So I think we need to activate this and to see how this logjam can be broken, and all these issues that are being flying all over the place, and no one knows how to control them. Those can be addressed through the bilateral back channels, and I hope it happens soon. The sooner that this happens, the better would be for India and the global economy. Because neither India nor the US can actually afford this kind of an impasse.
Right. And so my final question to you, and since you spoke about diplomatic back channels, I know you're a trade expert, but I'll ask you a question on geopolitics. Do you really think Trump is only upset with the Russian oil issue, or this is beyond that? Because we are also getting to hear that he wanted some kind of gesture maybe from India on the role that he played during Operation Sindoor.
Yeah, but that's the most problematic area, I think, and I feel that President Trump's repeated claim, or he would have done it as well. We don't know exactly, but he has been claiming that he actually intervened and stopped India and Pakistan going any further.
Yeah, but India has categorically refused it.
That's right. So that's the problem that's the bone of contention, because India never wanted third-party intervention and has always pushed back if anyone has suggested
the US
anything
is aware about it.
And US is aware of it. And I would have thought that maybe that this issue was put to rest. I know President Trump has other ambitions as well, and but if we can somehow be reined in to say that, look, put this in the back burner, and we can move on without any reference to Sindoor, maybe there may be a possibility of rapprochement. And I would always hope that this happens, because there are other things that are also happening at the same time that which will not please President Trump at all. Prime Minister's going to China, and it's happening exactly at the time when this impasse is occurring. So I think, as I said, that the back channel moves are absolutely imperative. They need to be started as soon as possible. They should have started yesterday, and I'm sure it would be on. But we need an early resolution of this kind of a crisis.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you for ending it on a positive note. So that was Professor Dhar telling us about the fact that how India and US at this kind of situation cannot afford an impasse. Why this should also be an opportunity to look inside and see that whether we can go for more domestic reforms. You were watching The Gist, and with me on camera is Karan. Thank you for watching.